I tell you the best accidental thing about Collision is that we were doing the pre-show 1987 type promos anyway, but now we've added the Continental Classic into it. My word. This may be the greatest tournament ever, cue hyperbole. Also, Orange Cassidy did one here and he was like, I don't know what's going on. That guy is brilliant. Also, hello, my friends, and as you can see, yes, it is Christmas time, so I have taken over all of What Culture, and I'm doing the editing, so please just forgive me. There's a lot to do, and I will do my best, but I'm also a moron. However, given that pro wrestling never stops, neither do I. Wind myself back up. Let's up those downs. It was the C2 that kicked things off, and man, now we're in deep and dirty, we getting the surprises. Well, that may be a little bit of a stretch, but it was Andrade who has been on fire on this thing, I believe is up to 9 points, and he was taking on Claudio Castagnoli, who needed a win, and damn it, the Swiss dude got it. They obviously wrestled to begin with because they're great wrestlers. When I think Andrade went, well, why don't I use the same kind of strategy that I have been using? That's like, I tell you why, my friend, because you're taking on Castagnoli. Although, he did the same thing too, because he'd been warming up his arm, and he started smashing out those Sagat uppercuts. I mean, Andrade was able to hit the ultimate comeback move of 2023, the crossbody. But like I just told you, when he went for a dive, somewhere Sagat must have shouted, "Do it now, Claudio!" And he whammed him with that forearm. I'm going to go on record right now. I think Claudio Castagnoli is probably number one when it comes to these. Mr. Tranquilo then went right into the dragon screws, because of course that has been one of his go-tos. But I swear, Claudio hit him so hard, I sat there with my tush in the chair, which is the name of my brand new EP, and I just went, ha 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 ha, like I was some kind of supervillain. It was then finisher time because they charged their meters, so Claudio got out of the way of the big knees. He applied the sharpshooter, which is when Andrade turned it into the figure eight. I was doing it like this, like I was watching synchronized swimming or something. I was like, it's a delight. But this is when Andrade really went to his bag of tricks, because they were tussling on the tope, when he thought, well, maybe if I expose the turnbuckle, I can do to Claudio what I did to Brody King. However, Castagnoli remembered, wait a minute, you have a penis, and he dropped that thing right into the rope, and the referee was so concerned about Tina the turnbuckle, he tried to put her dress back on. That sounds really weird, that's not how I meant it. When Claudio went, oh yes, you do have testicles, he kneed him right in the groin. He hit Andrade with the neutralizer, 1, 2, 3. And man, he just walked off like, I told you I'd do it, and I did it. It all just means that the C2 is a massive win now, and I'm going to say this on every episode of Ups and Downs to manifest it into existence. It needs to become an annual thing, and the winner should just get like, I don't know, £7 million, as well as those championships, because then it will feel even more important. Giving it up. When we just had all of the fun. Now for starters, it was Abadon versus Jazmin Allure, which was very nice to see because Jazmin has been working away at the independent scene and now she's getting a due. Although, you know, she was taking on Abadon here, who is all spooky wooky, and they just hit her with that leg DDT thing, and they got the 1, 2, 3. This didn't go very long at all, but that's because we were going to get an angle. The lights went out straight away, which meant it was time for yet more spooky wookiness. And when they came back on, Julia Hart was here, and she looked at Abadon, and Abadon looked at Julia Hart, and I was like, oh, what are they going to do? As it turned out, Abadon just rugby tackled her, and away they went. This is when we finally pulled the trigger as well, because Sky Blue was out here, or is she now Sky Black? Because she too looked at Abadon in the face, and she too whipped Abadon's ass when her and Julia came together. So look, when you are out there in the real world, if someone goes and spits mist on you, you got to be careful because you're about to be evil. Or at least only if you're in AEW. If you're in WWE, you need to watch out for Karrion Kross. You fight with him, eventually you go heel. They then start the double team, which means somebody had to come in to save Abadon. I was just cheering from my lounge because it was none other than the returning Thunder Rosa. I mean, it's been well over a year. Now, I do have to admit this has a double meaning for me because Thunder is my friend and she has been so good to me over these past 2 years. Just to be a parody of myself, yep, made me feel warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum. After they had cleared house 2, she even shook hands with Abadon. I was like, how the hell did you do that? That's like agreeing with a demon. I don't think that's how it's gonna go. It certainly was a risk though, because you never know if someone like Abadon is going to reciprocate or just eat you. But now look what we've done. We've set up the tag team match. Thunder Rosa can come back to the ring, and we have bad guy Sky Blue. So I think all of this was absolutely faboo, which rhymes up. Speaking of returns too, the Acclaimed were then here with Rene Paquette. Just like that. Now this was very interesting because they all kind of hate Maxwell Jacob Friedman now, or at least they're done with him. Because look what happened when they tried to get involved last time. they all got thrown through some glass. Cry me a river. And maybe, just maybe, this ties into the fact that MJF and Adam Cole are the devil, but they're doing it together. Just a conspiracy theory that I want to get going. And after they said, oh man, we're ready to rock and roll again, in walked Top Flight and Action Andrade. Now, one, that match is going to be fire. It's happening this week. And two, if you have not seen the six-man with Top Flight and Action Andrade from Rampage, you need to go and watch it now. Even though we're in late December, could very well be one of the matches of the year. I do want to point out that Darius and Dante Martin and Action Andretti also just walked in and went, hey, wait a minute. We didn't attack you. Which is a little bit like this. Oh, hello, officer. I didn't kill him. I mean, I was just doing a routine check, but now you go to jail. From nowhere too, the international title was on the line. I'm just going to tell you this. I thought it was absolutely wonderful. Because not only was it Orange Cassidy, and once again, he's been one of the standouts of 2023, but he was taking on Bryan Keith, who is a local indie wrestler, to the Texas area. And I tell you, this guy, he got all the tools, and if you give him a hammer, he is gonna build. It was so well worked as well, because we know that Orange is basically obsessed with this championship, but because the fans were getting behind Keith, there was a small moment when I was like, well, he did do pretty good on the Ring of Honor pay-per-view too, so maybe he will win here, and then we'll get the All Elite graphic. Now that didn't happen, but look at the strange thing I've done with my arms. I was convinced. He was quite smart too, because when Orange did put his hands in the pocket, Bryan just chopped him. But that's when both guys just found different ways to kick each other. Like, it started with a drop kick, but then we were getting these boots right to the face. I was like, it's inventive violence, and now I love thee. What? We then got right into the wrestling tennis because Bryan got this awesome avalanche exploder, and when he was going for the Tiger Driver for the win, nope, you ain't doing it, beach break. So you really couldn't separate them, which is when Bryan decided to bust out a Diamond Dust, when again he thought, oh my gosh, if I hit the Tiger Driver right now, I'll become the international champion. But he forgot about the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up, and he got beaten 1, 2, 3. But you can't really call it the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment. It is the mousetrap, and Orange Cassidy has used that a lot of time as a finisher. I really think that AEW should sign Bryan Keith though, because the dude is ready, and I presume that's what all of this was about. And afterwards, Orange Cassidy was going to shake his hand, but instead Bryan put the hat on, and he tipped it towards him instead. Because of course, it's an orange. How would you shake an orange's hand? Either way, these two rule up. We got a Miro promo after this where he just reminded you that he's going to kill Andrade as soon as he is done with the C2. Have to be truthful here. A little bit sad we moved away from Miro and Powerhouse Hobbs. I like that big man slapping man meat match. Doesn't feel like we're going back to it. Which is when Paul Commander with a K got there. Because he was just trying to tell Lexi Nair, hey, I've been on a little bit of a roll recently. When the Kingdom walked in and went, no, you haven't. You may be flipping and flying around the place, but you keep losing. I was like, that was really mean. Roderick Strong then realized, wait a minute, you can be my next victim, so they are going to have a match on Dynamite. And I like to think Roderick was going through the roster. He was like, who is this guy? Commander with a K? You spell it with a C? Let's beat him up. When it was time for FTR to come out, and once again, you have to go and watch that Ring of Honor pay-per-view to watch the match they dedicated to Jay Briscoe. These 6 men absolutely ruined each other to the point Cash and Dax came out here, they're all beaten up. But now they do want to talk about the House of Black because they're knee-deep in that feud, and they thought about this and they figured it out. Those guys are just super-duper jealous. It's always that green-eyed bug. And this could even come down from the fact that Brody King has had a really good few months and Julia Hart is absolutely smashing it. But what is Malachi Black and Buddy Matthews doing? Well, I'll tell you what they're doing. The lights went off and they came back on again, and they're on the big screen. It's like, there you go. They're making videos. Now their big message to FTR is like, listen, you've got no friends, nobody's gonna come and save you, not CM Punk, not Mark Briscoe, not nobody, so why don't you just come and join the Hob? Maybe, just maybe, we can be the best of friends. Saying that though, Buddy, given what his name is, they went against the trend, because he tried to drive a wedge between Cash and Dax. He's like, well, actually, Dax, you've got some people in your life, but this Wheeler, nobody likes him. Once again, I was in school again. It's like, why are we being so horrible? This is why they've decided to make things as personal as possible, though. When Malachi Black pulled out a picture of Dax Harwood's wife and kid, and he set it on fire. It's like, you better hope the police aren't watching. Crime counter goes up by 1, you go to jail. Naturally, FTR then ran to the back, I suppose to stop this, even though they were clearly in spooky wookie land. And surprise, surprise, they're now really mad at them. I was like, yes, you would do. Why do people in AEW keep involving the families? Mostly though, I suspect they are going to do a match at the World's End pay-per-view, and that is going to be so good. Like, I'll be honest, story's a little bit weird. Kind of sat there going, it's like a lot of riddles, but because I'm so excited about when they do clash, and it's going to make me go absolutely crazy, I am giving it up. It's happening in like 10 days' time. It's going to be good. This is when we got the first of 2 Keith Lee segments I'm just going to push together here, because he did beat Shane Taylor at the Ring of Honor pay-per-view and then started going, oh, this isn't the guy I was talking about. So later on in the show, when the Mogul Embassy walked in, I tell you this, he didn't say the name specifically, but Keith Lee made it very clear the person he has been talking about is none other than Swerve Strickland. I did this. I was like I just run a marathon. It's like, finally, been waiting for this match for about 14 months. And it's a testament to both those guys, because I searched my feelings like a Jedi, and I still want it. Now, I think Strickland, given everything the last few months, probably has to win, but we will wait and see. At least we got there in the end. But yes, better late than never, but better never late. And speaking about people going crazy, we then had Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale versus Mercedes Martinez and Diamante in a Texas street fight. And good grief, we blew this feud off and then some. One of the first things we saw was Martinez grab a beer bottle and just smash Chris over the head. And yeah, she started to bleed. I was like, is this happening on free TV? And it was. A barbed wire bat was then introduced, so Statlander DDT Diamante onto that one. And by this point, you just had the red stuff flowing everywhere. But I didn't seem to bother Diamante. She threw herself at Willow, got caught, and got murked into Simba the Steel Steps. This is basically how I watched it. It looked horrible. Atlanta was then introduced as Chris and Nightingale just started to use that when a tire iron popped up. I was like, there's not even a vehicle in the ring. Where did it come from? It really did work though, because somehow Mercedes powered up off that as she spine busted Chris Statlander through some plyboard, which is when Willow decided she was going to do that too, and she pounced Diamante, who basically exploded. I was all wibbly-jibbly. Statlander then decided she really had to hurt Mercedes, so she gave her a Satellite Fever onto a road sign. And the only reason that didn't get the 1-2-3 is because Diamante broke it up at the 1-2-ooh. And then I started freaking out, because I thought, well, somebody is now driving along a road, and they're probably stuck there going, well, there really should be a sign, where'd it go? She also did this with a briefcase, and when she opened up inside it, what came out? A bunch of thumbtacks. I've been thinking about this all weekend. What kind of job would require that? There was glass in there as well, so Martinez basically took Statlander's face and rubbed it in there when Willow Nightingale grabbed everybody, did a power bomb through a table onto the outside, and this was just a carnage of death. The finish was also lunacy too, because Chris then got back in the ring and she had a chain. She wrapped it around her arm when she gave this discus clothesline to Diamante, who, surprise, surprise, fell down. She was knocked out. 1, 2, 3. And surely this is done. I mean, how are you going to top it? But once again, you've got to give them a round of applause. The effort and the sheer risk that they took. I did not see this coming. It is getting it out. Timeless Tony Storm and Mariah May were then being interviewed. Very sadly, I think Gunther still has a touch of the gout. Damn. Now what we are doing is we are going into tease mode here, because one, we are going to get Saraya versus Rio to see who is the #1 contender for the AEW Women's Championship. Not sure how Saraya snuck in there. Whereas Mariah is about to debut soon, and she was like, oh, Timeless One, I'd love it if you commentated on my match. Storm was like, I'm far too busy, go away. So they are definitely going to fall out, and I guess they'll have a championship match soon too, which will be very interesting. When Adam Copeland was here, he wasn't happy at all. Because, of course, he got screwed at the end of his Christian Cage match last week. So he was like, listen, I was this close to becoming a TNT champion. I haven't been a champ in 11 years. So at World's End, the pay-per-view, I want to do Christian versus used to be Edge round 2. But this time, it's no disqualification. And given how crazy these guys are, that could be nuts. As good as this was, though, I am going to throw a quick nerd down in there, so you will have to forgive me, but sometimes geekdom does get the better of me. But I really needed some kind of explanation from Nick Wayne's mum here, because do not forget, last time's Collision, she screwed over Adam Copeland. Of course, it doesn't matter if we do it next week instead, but sometimes you just want to strike when the iron is hot. And of course, we can speculate and go, well, it's probably because he tried to kill Nick Wayne, but I just needed someone to say it. So it does get it down. But is that a pathetic down? Yes. Yes, it is. When Brian Cage killed Kerr White. Can't really tell you anything else. He threw him around, drill claw, powerbomb, probably an F5, probably ripped his heart out from his spleen or ate it like he was in Mortal Kombat. 1, 2, 3. I suppose we're going to do something big with Brian Cage soon, so he needed the win. That's it. Up. It was then time to do back-to-back C2 matches, and this poor Daniel Garcia is not having a good time. Because he was taking on Eddie Kingston, and it kind of worked out like this. Eddie needs a win to stay in it, whereas Garcia just needs something, because his record is like 0 wins and 39 losses. And of course, he was defeated here. And who does he have during the last week of the tournament? Brody King. so you can see what is going to happen. So once again, massive round of applause. This has been booked great. They started with the chops, so you got this noise, as I always tell you. When Daniel decided, well, listen, I'm just going to take out your legs, and he too went back to those crazy dragon screws. So one day, Daniel, Garcia, and Andrade are going to be in the same ring, and they're going to cancel the other person's dragon screw out. Then we're all toast. The world will implode. As soon as he had the opening two, Eddie just came back with his machine gun chops. But that's when Daniel Garcia turned into Oliver. He was like, please, sir, give me some more. He also started to dance through these, so I was chuckling away, because only in wrestling. But as he was taunting, he must have added +5 to his energy bar, because all of a sudden he was all fired up, and he got back on the front foot. So there you go. Next time you're in trouble, do a little wiggle. He also then went submission central because he had worked over Kingston's leg, so he thought he could get the tap out win. But then when Eddie was able to get to the ropes and Daniel ran at him, he just got launched right into Tina the turnbuckle. I was like, that's it, he's dead. He was able to get the back fist as well for a 1-2-ooh, which kind of surprised me. And after Daniel had got a final strike in there, he did lock in the Dragon Tamer. I was going, listen, pal, you better hope he taps out, otherwise you're done. That is what happened too, because Kingston just wouldn't die, so he got back to his feet, hit another exploder, and the stiffest back fist you've ever seen. Poor Danny boy was knocked out, and he lost. 1, 2, 3. People were also chanting, this is awesome during it, and they were 100% correct, so the record continues. The C2 is 100% brilliant, it's getting it out. And then somehow it got topped, because it was the main event, Bryan Danielson versus Brody King. This may have been even better. How? Now there were similar elements here, because of course Bryan looked at Brody and was like, you're really tall. However, if I go after your walking devices, you'll just be smushed on the floor, then I can whoop your ass. That's what he tried to do. The thing is, though, fighting is about one-upmanship. So Brody went, all right, well, I'm going to remove your Metal Gear Solid eye patch, and I'm just going to attack your eye. And he did this, and the damn thing was bleeding. I was like, we need Solid Snake. The announcers then told us that Bryan has been having double vision recently, as once again he was bleeding, as King grabbed him, and not only did he smash his head into Alan the announce table, but of course he launched him into Barry Barricade. Told you once, I've told you 1,000 times, if there is a #1 perpetrator when it comes to the death of Mr. Barricade, you looking at Brody King. And also, it then gave Bryan Danielson an idea, and he was using Baz. I was like, that's it, I'm done. Bryan then went back to the kicks, and he looked like a loon, because there was so much blood. And seriously, when you play the next Hideo Kojima game, if this comes up as a boss fight, you know where he got it from. Brody then went after the balls by trying to use the top rope as he tried to behead Danielson with this massive lariat. That is when the American Dragon started to lay in these kicks. I'm sorry, beforehand, they must have gone, can I just kick you for real? And Brody was like, oh, yeah, you could do that. They were so damn stiff. It's the same with the hammer elbows too, but all it did was piss King off, because when he finally got hit with the running knee, the referee went 1, and Brody King kicked out instantly. That was it, everybody went crazy. He also came back with this murder clothesline, and I mean it, I'm serious. If I had gotten the 3, I would have gone, yes, I understand. I don't know how he's still in one piece. Thankfully, by this point, Danielson had overcharged his meter as well, so he hit 3 Psycho knees, the final one to the back of the head. By that point, Brody King had been chopped down like a tree, and Danielson did beat him. But then he lay there like, well, I may have won the battle, but maybe I lost the war. It genuinely is next level stuff now, and of course you have to assume that Bryan is going to go through to the next round. This is the last time I'll say it. Till the next time I talk about it, I am in love with the C2. And if the C2 is single, I will marry it. It's a funny thing to say. It's getting it up. And of course, Collision is going to get an up overall too. I think when it comes to the tournament, the show that has benefited the most is this Saturday night extravaganza. So yeah, make sure you now go and interact with the video. Click the video that's on the screen, which is Ups and Downs, so smack it down. Let's support all of pro wrestling. And make sure you get ready for the holidays, my friend. Here it comes. Take care. See you soon.